The war between the land and the sea follows Barclay Pierre Dupont, played by Russell Tovey, a low-level unit logistics clerk, who suddenly finds himself shoved into the biggest crisis humanity has faced in generations. The sea devils, now renamed Homo Aqua, have returned, an ancient aquatic species that lived on Earth long before humans, now emerging after one of their scouts is killed by terrified fishermen. Blood has already been spilled on both sides, and the world is pushed toward a full-scale war between land and sea. And in a twist that perfectly sums up the show's strange energy, Homo Aqua's leader, the icy, commanding Salt, played by Gugu Mbatha-Raw, refuses to negotiate with presidents, generals, or diplomats. She wants Barclay, an ordinary man, out of his depth, terrified, and very aware that the people in charge may have already ruined everything. Right away, the biggest difference is obvious. There is no doctor, no chaotic genius to save the day, no sonic screwdriver, no last-minute speech to fix everything. Instead, this is a slower, heavier story, closer to classic Doctor Who serials than the modern era. Long scenes of negotiations, people whispering behind desks, politicians arguing, unit agents watching screens. And when it works, it really works. There's a genuinely effective sequence where Homo Aqua dumps humanity's plastic waste back onto land, a blunt, angry moment that lands harder than any monster attack. This show desperately wants to be taken seriously. Sometimes it succeeds, but sometimes it tries too hard. Let's be honest. This show has one big thing on its mind: climate change. And unlike some Doctor Who stories that dance around the topic, war between charges straight at it. Salt makes it clear. This isn't about territory. It's about pollution. Poisoned oceans. A species slowly being wiped out by human negligence. In theory, it's classic Doctor Who at its best sci-fi as a mirror for our own failures. Barclay represents the average person, frustrated, ignored, and tired of watching powerful people protect economies instead of ecosystems. Salt represents consequence, and when Russell Tovey and Gugu Mbatha-Raw share scenes, the chemistry crackles. Even when she barely moves, Salt feels dangerous. This is the show's strongest idea. Unfortunately, it's also weighed down by everything around it. For a series that wants to be mature and grounded, War Between keeps awkwardly reminding you that it's still Doctor Who. The Doctor's name dropped once per episode, almost like a contractual obligation. There are random jokes that completely kill the tension. Even a clumsy, uncomfortable gag about the Homo Aqua name that never lands. The tonal whiplash is real. One minute, the show wants to be Children of Earth level serious. The next, it's slipping on banana peels from the Universe. And nowhere is this more frustrating than with Unit. The show treats Unit as the unquestioned good guys, even while they instantly destroy Barclay's privacy, detain his family, run massive surveillance networks. But the series refuses to interrogate that power. Kate Lethbridge, Stewart, a character with deep history, tied to the Sea Devils, is reduced to standing behind monitors and talking in Barclay's ear. Her father's past, humanity's betrayal of Earth's original species, barely touched. It feels like the show is scared to look too closely at its own foundations. There's also a strange unevenness in the character writing. Barclay works because Tovey sells the panic, the confusion, and the vulnerability. Salt works because Mbatha-Raw commands every scene she's in. But elsewhere, dodgy names, heavy-handed symbolism, female characters who feel underwritten or unfairly framed. The show prides itself on progressiveness, and rightly so, but then stumbles into old habits that undercut that message. It's entertaining. It's watchable, but it constantly feels like it could have been more. That's the tragedy of the war between the land and the sea. At its core is a genuinely powerful idea. What if humanity finally had to answer for what it's done to the planet without the Doctor to save us? But instead of diving fully into that question, the series hovers at the surface. Not quite Doctor Who, not quite its own thing. There's still time for it to go deeper in its remaining episodes. But so far, this weird final chapter of Doctor Who's Disney era feels less like a bold new beginning, and more like a missed opportunity drifting out with the tide. The war between the land and the sea may look like a straightforward Doctor Who spin-off, but episodes 1 to 2 are packed with hidden clues that suggest something far darker is unfolding beneath the surface. One of the biggest mysteries surrounds Salt, the calm yet unsettling leader of Homo Aqua. On the surface, she appears diplomatic, even restrained, but her language constantly leans toward inevitability. She never promises peace, only delay. That raises a chilling possibility. The negotiations may not be about avoiding war at all, but about deciding whether humanity is worth sparing. Salt's stillness, her confidence, and her refusal to show urgency all point to someone who already believes the outcome is predetermined. Then there's Barclay. Salt's insistence that an ordinary unit clerk represent all of humanity feels symbolic, but it's also strategic. Barclay has no real power, no protection, and no political insulation. Almost immediately, Unit strips away his privacy and places his family at risk. This subtly reinforces Homo Aqua's argument. Humans claim to value the little people, but abandon them the moment power is threatened. Barclay may not be a bridge between species, he may be evidence for the prosecution. Another overlooked detail is the pearls embedded in Homo Aqua's necks. The show lingers on them without explanation, suggesting they're far more than biological features. They could be memory vaults, weapons, or even extinction failsafes, meaning Homo Aqua may already be prepared to wipe out both themselves and humanity if the oceans remain poisoned. Even Unit's role feels suspicious. The organization is portrayed as heroic, yet its unchecked surveillance and control mirror the very systems Homo Aqua condemns. The show, thank you for watching.